So I'm Ankith Sagar. I am the CEO of the Archive News. It's an online platform that makes news more concise, more illustrative, and all around simple to digest. I'm also a singer, songwriter, and I dabble in various things like acting, screenwriting, dramatics writing. So all over the place, but my main mode of putting myself out there is through the Archive News.
Now, what made you like? What was the feel like you were in before you decided to go into this?
So the thing with Archive News, especially because it is a collective, we each had a different reason as to why we came together to do this. My inclination came when I went to Europe, this place that I really wanted to go all my life, and then I ended up seeing this place so beautifully. And then every place I go to, someone would look at me and ask me about my country, and they'd ask me like, "Hey, this is happening in India. What are your thoughts about that?" And then I'd look at them with a blank stare, like, yeah. So it seemed pretty off. And then I also realized that the potential that India had, which wasn't really tapped into, that it's more evident when you go to the colonizer's country and you see like their way of being, and you're like, okay, there's a lot more potential in India that hasn't been tapped yet. So the idea for me behind going into archive was do something that one informs the youth, that is people like me and below, about what's happening in the country. To make it insanely interesting and not boring, because come on guys, the Hindu is boring. I love the paper, it is amazingly informative, but it's bland as hell. So let's take that attention span that people have nowadays, that's 5-10 seconds, and put that up online, catch it, and then give only the information that is important. So that was what I went with. And I felt that, actually, we felt that through small efforts like this, a bigger crowd of people will be educated and hence take better and, make more informed decisions. And if more people make informed decisions, it would impact us in a better way and hence development. So tiny steps towards a huger goal, I guess.
But did you have like a background in journalism? Like, what was it backed by any like degree per se? Like the what the adults they valuable asset.
So the funny part is that I do have a journalism degree, but I don't think that has ever been the reason as to why I started this. So that is just a coincidence that I have it. It's part of my course, but my main inspiration came from the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. And these were people that I watched and tried to emulate. So I was thinking that if we could get that level of humor to Indian politics, that would be amazing, because then you'd have people engaging in discourse in a more lively and positive way instead of just going at each other's throats. So we went through that perspective where we wanted to make it more light-hearted, more humorous, so entertainment. So yeah, Jon Stewart was the messiah that led me down this path.
Now,
Do you have a favorite Jon Stewart or John Oliver moment?
Okay, see, my favorite Jon Stewart moment has to be when he took down Tucker Carlson at Crossfire. That is this for me. And my favorite John Oliver moment is Eat Expletive Bob, because of the lawsuit that was filed against him. So he had a Broadway musical type of setup just to get back at the person who filed the lawsuit against him. If you haven't checked it out, please do. It is beautiful. It is the most elaborate scheme or elaborate prank that's been pulled on someone that influential, and that is what I strive to do. That level of messing around with people in power, because let's face it, guys, they're people too, and we have this habit of dietifying or over, we put them on pedestals, and when we put people on pedestals, we can't see their flaws because we take them as to be more than humans, and these flaws are inevitable. This is not the fault of a person for having like a fault, because it's a human being, they have flaws. So no matter who it is, no matter which politician, no matter what entity or government, they can always function better. But what's missing is constructive criticism, not criticism only, constructive criticism in a right way, and not only telling the government that, hey, you did this wrong, but by also offering something as a lifeline for them to catch and discuss with us. So this is what we feel. What do you think? So when we create this discussion, it breeds a most, a natural way of political discourse in India, which I really feel has been is pretty serious in its entirety. Politics has always interspersed with religion, and whenever religion comes into the picture, everyone just gets really upset or really angry and really emotional, which is based on their beliefs. But if we can take it out, if we can start looking at it a little more objectively and try to use that same thought process, use the same passion, but in a different way to understand what the other person is saying, you create a narrative, you create a room open for discussion, and there you have change. Little by little, it could happen.
Now, I imagine that it'd be extremely hard to put out news, especially in the times we're living, as in cancel culture being pretty out there. So, how do you still stay neutral and still manage to just put out news with which is important for everyone and not being
I think
having the fear of being cancelled?
the first step that we took was to admit that whatever bias we have is our personal bias and we have it. So I might not be I might not be leaning left or I might not be leaning right, but each one in the archive has their own inclination and they're they're allowed to have their own beliefs. The voice of the archive, on the other hand, is neutral. So what we do is we try to focus on various sources and various points of information and try to sieve out only the information and then give it straight to the reader. So to leave out narratives or to leave out story plot points that this person was horrendously murdered. No, we don't add that part. We just mention uh, the statements, basically what all is proved, what all is evidence, and we move on. It is a huge thing to cover news, especially on an online sphere, without any form of sort of regulation going into it. Because if you've seen by the recent cases where people were being arrested under various accusations that might or might not have had seating or footing, sorry. And when that happened, we were actually worried that something we might have put out can be misconstrued as something against the government and hence used to to get us arrested. This was a fear, but I think staying within the boundaries that we have for ourselves, uh, we try to maintain a very strict ethical bond in archive where the news coming out is follows guidelines, and luckily those guidelines haven't gotten us into trouble yet. So we just hold on to the formula and pray. So it's basically like a religion, like hold on to the book and let it lead you there. Because I think that there are times recently we've been uploading COVID resources for different countries, actually for different cities. That is Bangalore, Mumbai, for Delhi. This is These are numbers that go out very soon, and then they stop being valid. But these are still numbers that people would need and would be really helpful. So a lot of people are texting us for oxygen supplies, for this, for that, and it constantly scares me. And this is like from the bottom of my heart, it constantly scares me that what if the information that I'm passing out might not be that legit, because there are hundreds of sources where these are coming from, and it's sort of impossible for a organization such as myself or like what I have to sieve through all of them. And we are just trying to do something good here. So it does really take a toll. So when every day when I get a comment or a message on the Instagram page, my mind instantly goes to worst case scenario mode, like where did we screw up? Okay, fix this, and then it goes down from there. luckily, following the format, following the guidelines we have, nothing's gone wrong so far, thankfully. And the posts that we have put up have helped a bunch of people. And that is the greatest feeling ever. Like, honestly, that makes up for all of it. For all the hate mail, for all the death threats, a few people saying that you helped us out, we did good.
That's amazing. But I want to go to the aspect that's not about news, and it's about social media and just like creating a team and an organization and the company that you created. Um, what did it take to get to where you are right now, like from ground zero?
Uh, One, I think I lucked out with having the best team that I could possibly work with, because each one of these people are my friends, and I know that what I believe in is what they believe in. So, as like you could attest, there is no hierarchical structure in Archive. We don't have the similar system where I'm the CEO, so I'm going to tell you what to do. No, it's a discussion based ecosystem, and I lucked out with finding a very talented and very motivated set of people that love doing what they're doing. So I lucked out at that. And the second thing is consistency. I just, whether it doesn't work or whether it works, I don't care. Whether it gets 10 likes, 17 likes, or 500 likes, 1,000 likes, put out information every single day and pray and hope that it reaches a person that might need it. So you stop writing for yourself, or you stop writing for the accolades, and you start writing for that one person that the story might help. So it might not. Your entire organization's run might be futile, but the belief in thinking that you're making a difference pushes you a long way in this industry to begin with, because you're on a constant. I wake up in the morning and I don't think my CEO would like me saying this, but she gets up. She's very, very, very hardworking. She gets up in the morning, looks up all the news articles that have happened, and she sends me a bunch of news in the morning. And I wake up and I'm like bludgeoned with so much horrible news to read. And this is like just when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, yes, a brand new day. What the? And going through that, and so many times I call her as a fire, like as a joke, and I pretend yell at her, like, why do you do this to me every day? um, you become sensitized to chaos. You become sensitized to death, to a lot of things that a normal person might be affected by. We stop letting it affect us, because if we continue to let it, it would destroy us. Because I've been down that path. I used to read all the stories and then feel sad about it, and then it killed me for like a week when I went into this depressive spell. Yeah, it's not nice. Don't get high on
Now
your
you
own supply, guys.
now you yeah, you mentioned one point which is I think is pretty important. You said consistency, right? So you keep uploading, and it may reach that 1%, it may not. But I, when it comes to consistency and when you're getting your content at such a short notice, right? You're getting it at the day that you're going to upload it, right? So, and I feel that your page has a lot of quality content, as in you put in the work to make it look good and make it eye catching. Uh, where does the line come for quality over quantity? Because consistency also brings quantity, right? Like you have to keep uploading.
Oh, valid. We had that before when we were starting off. I think I had this belief that we had to upload every single day, or the algorithm's going to turn on us. But I personally can't think of any time where we put a story because we had to put one. There's never been a case where we did that. And when it comes to a choice between putting up a story that makes no sense, like what color dress Katrina Kaif wore to the like gym, that doesn't make sense to me. So a lot of times we've left those days go blank. Then, dude, does it hurt our reach? Probably. But I think the line is where people who are following your page or people who are at least seeing your online presence know at least they know you. They know what type of content you're putting out. At least I hope they do. And we expect that to be a consistent thing. So if I just start giving out, it's the same factor. So put yourself in the reader's shoe. Does the news that I'm putting out today benefit my readers? Who are my readers? My target audience, that is from 18 to 28-year-olds. Does it benefit them right now? If so, I'll put it out. If it doesn't benefit them, if it's just a piece that's for, it doesn't serve any purpose, then it's unlikely going to go up as a post. It might go up as a story now because we've introduced that, but it's very unlikely that it'll go up as a post. A post is what we give to stories that we believe in. Personally, every single post is either one of our writers sending us a story and be like, I want to write this, or us choosing a story and giving it out. So it's never been pushed out to fill a quota. But according to Instagram algorithm, yes, consistency is key. That's what you try to follow. In other formats, in other companies, it's easier because the content isn't dependent on the world around you. In this case, it is. So if the world had a boring day, then we really can't do much about it. We can be bored and put up a fact for the day. Like, hey guys, 5 years ago on this day, something cool happened. So, or we cannot do anything and just stay quiet. So we alternate between the two.
I have a follow-up question to that.
Yes.
In your industry, I'm assuming, the art of filtering out misinformation is a tough one, right? I just want to ask you, how do you guys go about that process? Because as you know, over the last year or so, there's been so many various streams of information, right? And with various streams of information, you do have conflicting information within those streams. So how do you filter out the nonsense and, just deliver what you said is actual news?
So the process that we follow, which still needs some refinement, every process does, is to use one story and then source it from over 5 sources. So we have one story told to 5 different perspectives, and then we get only the information from each one. So the post is a culmination of the 5 posts, and it's rewritten to include only the whatever happened, and excluding all the this might have been this political image, might have been that. No, there's no might. It's this. So we follow that. We try to, and the sources that we follow are going to be, Times of India, Hindustan Times, India Times, The Hindu, Reuters. If we're lucky, if we get Reuters, we're like, yeah, that's where we get most of it. Like, most of the credible news that you find on most sites are from Reuters. They have they copy straight and paste it onto the site. So if you're reading an article and says a source from Reuters, they probably just copied and pasted it on their website. It's straight up copied because Reuters is a really, really good service. So that's where I get my information from. So if this used to happen before, where if a story breaks out, usually when it's a fake story, it has only one paper backing it up, or one source, and it doesn't have multiple sources. When it's a multiple sources, there are two things that work. One, you are more certain that the story is real, and two, if if let's just say hypothetically this happened once before, where the story turned out to be fake, but it wasn't just us taking the blame for it, because the entire press, like the whole board that spread this information, got a collective hit. So it's like we share that burden of fake news, and that's how we get ours. So have a bunch of sources that you trust, and then read at least 2 to 3 articles in like that same thing, and you'll get the information that you probably need.
Yeah. I remember on a call with you once, you said you wanted it to go from this Instagram page, and your future plans were to get it to like a talk show, right? Which you could put out
Yes.
comedy and still manage to make it like good humor. So where are you on that, and what are your plans with this? Like right now, it's an Instagram page. What are your plans with it right now?
Um, One, so we're shifting from the posts the Instagram posts are going to be the same way they are. There's nothing going to change much in that, but we're going to start putting out a lot more videos. So our idea will be first to move into a complete video-based system of delivery, where we'll start honing our skills first, because we still need to be effective presenters and be able to deliver a joke. And then before you can set out into a venture like, a late show, think about your presenters that are already there. Hassan Minaj or all these people there, their presentation skills are top notch. And so we're still on the process of learning it. So because there are no rule books for this, we sort of make our own rule book and we build our show according to that. So we're on the back end of it, we're trying to build a lot of processes that have more videos, that have more ecosystems, and we'll like slowly condense it to weekly episodes. And then we'll use we were in talks with socials, Bangalore, so like socials, the
Yeah.
chain, to sort of do like this property throughout India where we could go from place to place doing the late show. But COVID hit, the talks have sort of ceased right now. I'll probably restart the talks when COVID ceases. We were also supposed to go to different cities and try to get different people from there as well. So try to expand from there, because as you know, this is not something that I'm making money off right now, or anyone in archive is making money off it, because there is no financial plan in place. That is mainly because we did this as a means to provide information, nothing else. We we later realized, hey, wait, if we need this to be career, we need money. So this ties into the whole thing. So the expansion will be basically to one, make sure that we don't miss anything that's important. Two is have a faster output rate, and three is just to encourage more people like me, you, and Akul to just start talking about politics, discuss in the open about like policies, and see what happens. Sit over pani puri and discuss it. No, what is the point? Why do you need to sit in Arnab's show and yell at each other? You don't need to. You can talk about it, and that's something I want to push
That would
into
be
the
a good
Indian
show.
ecosystem.
Pani Puri and like
Pani puri, that is an idea we had. That is definitely an idea we had. But then pani puri and COVID don't really gel well together.
not at all. I don't think Pani Puri gel well before COVID as well. Yeah. So now setting aside the archive news, what is the plan for you, Ankit? As in, do you have other ventures, and what are you trying to get from this?
Right now, I'm on a very artistic journey completely. So I've been trying to paint. So I picked up like this paintbrush and then painted myself a tiny piece that was inspired by Jackson Pollock, which looked really cool. So today I'll try recreating something from Picasso or something along those lines, just to like be a little more in tune. I finally decided to work on a rap album this year, so I'm putting that together. I spoke to a bunch of people. We got a cool set of people there. I need to write the album and then put it out. And this is just for me. I'm doing this not for pushing it out to the public. I'm just doing this because I wanted a personal achievement. If you tell yourself that you're just going to paint it and keep it in your room, the painting is going to look vastly different than something you're going to say, like, I'm going to try to sell this. That is a pressure that you try to put on yourself, because you're not trying to make art. You're trying to morph it into something that's more tangible to sell. So it took me a long time before I could shake that off. It took a while for me to actually stop trying to use art for that. And now I'm just doing it for myself. So it gives me the freedom to not do well at it. It allows me the wiggle room to be bad at it. Because otherwise, if you're putting it out to the world, you're open for criticism. That's scary. But if you're not, if you're the only person who's going to listen to it, you'll put in more time because you love it. You'll put in more time because you
You're
love the
doing
art
it for
form.
yourself.
So I've been studying, yeah, I've been studying Biggie's flow. I've been studying Andre Ice Cold 3000 from Outcast. I've been studying Kendrick's flow. So it's like I've been trying to figure out my own style through the various genres. And that is completely out of love, because I respect rap as an art form that is beautiful in the way it flows. Like every time you hear Kendrick, even like rap a verse, like yesterday a song, like yesterday I got a call like from my dog, like 101 said they killed his only son because of insufficient funds. He was sobbing, he was mobbing, belligerent and drunk, talking all about philosophies. Now what the Lord had done. It is poetry in motion, and it is something that is beautiful. It's painting a picture at the same time it's conveying a message, and that is pure. So if you let that get inspired by like I need to sell this, you can't write that pure because you're always scared that what if the art that I want to put out is not sellable? And if it's not sellable, is not a real word, I know this, but yeah, it's not sellable. And if I put this out, will I be, you know, open to ridicule? So take that out of your head, and then you're like, cool. So I post poems on my Instagram page that I just write in one stretch, where I don't edit them after because that's how my mind basically works. So that page is just for me, and whatever I upload there will be just for me. That's how I can balance the various art forms.
Now, with going back to the archive, like how happy are you that you got into it?
Okay, honest answer, right? You start this not knowing what this is. With a lot of other companies, like I tried my hand at a clothing line before this, so it's not the same because in this case uh, you're dealing with things that are way bigger than you. So whatever you put out, let's say you put out an article, it instantly shows that whatever you're doing is bigger than who you are. And if you misstep, that could lead to real world complications, or you could be the start of fake news spreading just by one misspelled word or by one small switch in an article. You can start an entire chain that could eventually result in something catastrophic from happening. The amount of misery that I've seen, the amount of pain that I've uh, been witness to because of constantly following news in the level that I do. Being a part of the news is different than consuming news. Being part of the news, you need to know everything. And that takes a huge toll on you. It takes a huge toll on you to a point where it just leaves you broken. And so many times it is hard to tell you that what I'm doing is actually making a difference, or tell you that, yeah, I'm happy doing this. But this is the honest truth that I never thought I will ever catch myself saying because it sounds so corny. But when one person texts you out of all the shit that's happening, if one person texts you saying that your post made a difference, thank you for this. There is no amount of, nothing will make you feel better and nothing will drive you faster than a small bit of hope. And every time I get that reinforcement, I text all my doctor friends or all my like other friends, just like, you know, to pass on that, like, hey, you know, we know that you're going through something, we're there for you. um, but yes, I am happy that I started, or like we started archive with the intention of helping people, and I'm glad that we did it because we did. I can happily say that we're helping people as we speak, but on a mental standpoint, hell no. This thing destroys your mental state. It breaks you down to your most vulnerable state because you're being bludgeoned with news after news after news, and this is violence, rape, murder, torture, like more rape, more murder, more rape, and you can't really process this as a human. And then you can tell people like, hey, I'm immune to it by now, but you're clearly lying because humanity is there, you know. And each time I read a story that makes everything like my love for God, I'm an atheist. If it makes my love for God come out, that means the story is bad. So uh, it makes me grateful at a place I'm in where I can actually report it. It also shows me that I'm in a privileged position and I have a responsibility. And it shows me that I am not as, it humbles you. In simple terms, it takes you down a few notches. If you think you're all that, it drops you down by a few things. Like, hey, this is what people are going through right now. As we speak, a daughter's looking for oxygen cylinders for her mother, for her father. As we speak, a 25-year-old is struggling for life. And that that coming to you, where people text you asking you like, hey, do you know any places where you can get it? That is someone putting their trust in you at that point to see if you can help them. That's where things become way too real, way too fast. And as I said, from a mental standpoint, hell no, this thing breaks you. And all you have to do is put on that strong face, because my team is rallying behind me at this point, and we have this cohesive team. Like, we use each other's strength to sort of lean off when one person can't do it, another person does it. So all said and done, we use that momentum to keep going, and I think that's what's gotten us this far.
What would be your advice to anyone who wanted to get into that a creative field, not just the news field? And this will be my last question because I've taken too much of your time.
No, that's completely fine, man. Creativity shouldn't be controlled. Creativity shouldn't be, uh, structured, and it shouldn't be. There is no right or there's no wrong. The hardest thing that I had to learn, which my teacher told me this and I laughed at it the first day I heard it, was she told me that the hardest thing you'll probably learn is to unlearn what you've learned. And I didn't get that. But then it is breaking structures that you formed in your head, breaking the idea of what you think art is or what you think art can be, and then making it your own. So when people say that be yourself and the art will speak for itself, that's what they mean. They mean that, figure it out. It's going to take a long time. It is a horrible path. Any artist at the stage, you ask them, they'll be like, this path is annoying, but it satisfies you on a different level. And the struggle that you might be going through with people not understanding you, or with people thinking that you're crazy, it pays off. It pays off when you're sitting at the Louvre looking at the Mona Lisa for the first time, the actual painting, and knowing every single small thing about it because you were interested in paintings. That's when it'll pay off. When you're in the Vatican and you're walking down the St. Peter's Basilica and you see the God and Man, the photo where they're touching, the first time you see that and you understand the significance, that is when it pays off. You have these moments that are so personal, that are just for yourself, and it's different for different people. I had this, and I still do, where if I'm listening to rap, especially when I'm traveling or when I'm going on a bike, and sometimes I hear a line or two that I would have missed before, and sometimes they're so good that I park in the side of the road and then scream because how did you do that? And then get back on the bike and continue going. Art's that. Art is if you fall down and you cry and you break down because the solo on Stairway to Heaven is the greatest thing that you've ever heard. If all of that are symptoms that you're facing, it's very likely that you really want to be creative. So don't listen to anyone. Don't follow guides. Take an empty canvas and just paint. The image that you paint will eventually show you what you want to be.
It was amazing talking to you and getting, like, as a fellow guy who wants to get into the creative field, the inputs that you gave were pretty good. And seeing that there are other people also doing the same thing that you want to do, it's a comfortable feeling. And I'm so happy
It
that
really is.
I got the chance to know you through these 40 minutes. And thank you so much for coming on Colors of Humans. So
Thank you guys for having me. It was really cool. I hope I offered some amount of insight that you
yeah,
can
yeah.
edit and piece together to make it narrative based.
No, it was
Don't
amazing.
get me arrested, guys. Try not to get me arrested.
I don't think
Not just yet.
I don't think you went
Awesome.
that far.